Hi everyone, so welcome to Missing Your Value. So today I want to go for a tutorial style video where I show you how I research stocks, and maybe you're going to find this useful, particularly if you're a beginner. But even if you're not a beginner, what I find is most people do not actually have a very comprehensive research kind of process. Like, it doesn't have to be incredibly difficult, it just has to be comprehensive. Like for me, I like to keep it basic. And hopefully you're going to find this very simple and easy to use yourself. Let's get right into it. So like if I'm looking up a stock, firstly, you might have found a stock through an article or a friend might have mentioned it. And then you just go, okay, I'm quite interested in it and I want to look up the stock, and I do not know anything about the stock. So for this example, we're going to use Tesla, but this could be any company listed on the market, and you would probably use the same process. The reason I use Tesla is because it's such a well-known company that immediately I don't have to teach you too much about this company. We already know a little bit about this company, and I can kind of just move quickly, and you don't have to spend too much time in this video trying to educate and pause and just wait while you're trying to gather more information about this company. So immediately you know what this company does. So if this was any company in the world and it was unknown, and then I typed in the name and I found the ticker symbol TSLA, and next time I can search up the stock that way. And also I'm going to see the stock price, which is $439, and then that gives me an idea of the valuation of this company. If I was to offer every shareholder $439 today, it would cost me $409 billion to buy this whole company, and I think that's a much more useful figure than the share price itself. It's much better to know what the overall company is worth rather than what a share is worth, because a share just tells you what the price of that share is worth, but it doesn't tell you the overall value of this company. And that's why if you look into a company, always make sure you are able to find market valuation, because that's going to give you a better picture. So if we were to decide if this company is actually worth $409 billion, then we'd have to do some research, because this is all very brief information. Sometimes there might be a PE ratio. Here we see a PE ratio of 1,139. It looks extremely large, so we may be finding this a bit weird. So sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's not that useful. So here we know Tesla is a growth company. It is only signed to be profitable, so it probably isn't that useful of a figure right now. But whereas if we look into a blue chip style company that just doesn't grow as quick but generates a really good profit, a PE ratio might be useful. And there's also a ton of other ratios that are useful, and I really recommend looking those up. But again, you don't have to rely too heavily on ratios. In general, look up this company, find stock price, valuation, and then after that, I just stop there, because you already get a sense of what this company is in value. And then we have to do the deep dive and to find out if it's actually worth what it is. So I love this website called Macro Trends, where it just kind of sums up the information that you need at your fingertips. So if I type in Tesla here, I can either type the ticker symbol or I can type in the name, and it's going to give me really useful information like revenue, net income, income statements, and all that. That kind of just summarize all the financials behind this company. So firstly, I like to look at the financials first, because it kind of tells me immediately if there's something that's working in this company. In order for a company to work, firstly it has to have a good product, right? But sometimes companies that have good products might not do that well, because they just don't execute well, they don't sell it well. So I like to look at financials. So immediately I would like to look at the revenue, and from the revenue it kind of gives me a better idea of how this company does in terms of selling its product. And firstly, that's going to be a good sign if it's selling well. So if we look at let's say Tesla's current financials, we can see from 2019 they did 24 billion in revenue, and 2018 it's 21, so it doesn't seem like a massive growth there. So immediately from 2019 to 2018, I want to find out what's happened between those years, perhaps something good, perhaps something bad. And then also I want to find out what's happened between 2018 and 2017, why there's big giant leaps of revenue from 2017 to 2018. And as we most likely can guess, with a company like Tesla, it is likely introductions of new products. So when they introduce new products, their revenue tends to jump much more because they're gaining more sales. And we can look at this and we can kind of interpret different things from these revenue numbers, but overall revenue increases year after year, and they seem to be doing a very good job of growing the revenue. If we just look back a few years, the revenue used to be 3 to 4 billion, so all of a sudden to jump that many times, it shows a very good sign that this company can sell its product in a very good way. So what I usually find is something like Wikipedia. Like Wikipedia numbers can be, take it with a grain of salt, but I find it's a great way to summarize what this company does sometimes. Like very quickly here, I can just see very short paragraphs of what this company does. It's an electric vehicle and clean energy company based in Palo Alto, California. Tesla's current products include Model S, Model 3, Model X, Model Y. So we see right off the bat, we can see with four cars that they produce, and also they do energy storage with their Power Pack, and Mega Pack. And like looking at this, it quickly summarizes immediately what this company sells and does. Of course, if you're really enthused, I'd highly recommend looking into these products of what a Model S, 3, X, Y is. But of course, reading through this page, like there's really not that much to read in here, so it kind of gives you its founding, the starting car when it started as a Roadster, when it came onto the market, and then it had the Model S and Model X, and then later merging with Solar City, introducing Model 3 and then Model Y. And this is incredibly useful information, but out of all information, I actually find this the most incredible, because especially if a car company sells cars, right, then what would be the best indicator of their success? It would be the number of cars that they sell. So instead of going here and going, oh, from 2019 to 2018, revenue only increased 24 billion from 21, I can actually look at car sales, and I can go from 2017, their car production rates went up from in the 20,000s to about 40, 80, 90,000. So immediately we can see massive jumps in car production rates, but the reason why revenue didn't increase as much is they transitioned from a higher price selling model like the Model S to a Model 3, which was selling much more, as we can see by these numbers, that by the end of 2018 they were selling 63,000 Model 3s and 14,000 Model X's and 13,500 Model S. So quickly we can see Model 3 is one of the best selling ones for them, and for them it was more ramping up production, and hence why revenue was slow to grow from 2017 to 2018. Well, actually rephrase that, from 2018 to 2019. But very quickly, once that changes, and they also release a new product as well, the Model Y, we might expect another big jump in revenue again. So when we look at the numbers, sometimes they give us a very clear picture of growth, where every year is very consistent, but a company like Tesla, sometimes it wouldn't be as consistent because of, say, new product releases. And very quickly we see that these numbers are useful for this kind of interpretation, where we look at vehicle production. And also what we're going to find really useful is going to the actual website. So we go to the website, and then very quickly we see the Model S, Model 3, Model X, Model Y, Cybertruck and Powerwall, and those are likely its main products. So if we didn't know the company, that's what we're likely to guess, right? And then we can just scroll along, and then they do the solar and Powerwall here, and then we can kind of click through the website, and then it kind of gives us these really good ideas of what this company does, and from there we can kind of research a bit more. So after we've gone through Yahoo and then we've gone through, say micro trends and gotten an idea of their revenues, then we can kind of look at through their products and then how well they're scaling in terms of their products. And it's always a really good sign if the company is increasing their products by quite an amount that, say, like Tesla's doing. So like from 2019, they went from producing about 63,000, 95,000, 97,000, 112,000 for each of its 4 quarters, and in each quarter it's managed to increase its production of cars quite steadily, and I think that's always a really good sign. Of course, we can look at the market size afterwards, and that would be good, as I'll probably talk about this a little bit later on. But so far, you just want to focus on what the company does in general first, and then if we see some good signs, then that's when we can tell ourselves that this is a company I really think is worth researching into, and then from there we research more into this company. So we can do something where we look at the investors relations page. So if you don't know how to find this on the website, you can do one thing, is just Google. Google is the best thing for anything, right? So if I'm looking for Tesla investor relations, basically type in the company name and then investor relations, and then that's going to give you immediately the page you're looking for, which is Tesla investor relations. If you're looking for another company like Walmart or Facebook, then just type in the name Walmart investor relations, and it's going to give you the same thing. And then when you click into it, this page is tailored just for shareholders. You probably wouldn't have looked into this in the past, but now that you are a shareholder in this company or a potential shareholder, then this is the page you're going to find extremely useful. And in here, say like they've got quarterly disclosures. This is going to let you know all the quarterly information that comes available when they release it. And we can kind of see here with the earnings dates that on October the 21st, which is coming up very soon, they're going to be releasing their Q3 results. So if you're an investor, those kind of announcements are what you kind of look forward to, and you can kind of look into these. So like for Q2, I can click into the press release, and it's basically going to give me the information of the units produced, and as we can see, production and delivery kind of numbers, and you can kind of gather along with this Yahoo Wikipedia page, which kind of already has the data in there. So hence why I thought this page itself was actually extremely useful, rather than individually clicking these pages and trying to summarize these figures myself. I might just do it just to confirm the accuracy of the data, because sometimes Wikipedia might not be as accurate, and this page is going to be extremely accurate because it's by the company itself. So again, I might do those comparisons just to make sure the data is accurate. And then also there's the actual filings itself, so I can go to Q2 and I can go to the 10Q. So if you don't know what these forms mean, a 10, just think about a 10. So 10Q is just for the quarterly data, and a 10K is for the annual data. So a Q for quarter and a K for annual. And then from there you can just find what you need. Obviously these are made to be very neutral, so it doesn't create any bias, but it also means this information can be potentially very boring for the eyes, because you're just looking at it and it just looks so generic. But again, you're going to have to get used to this. You're going to have to familiarize yourself. Once you familiarize yourself, you know what to look for, and it just becomes second nature after a while. So if I look at, say, financial statements, it's going to immediately send me to the financial kind of area, and then for the assets, it's going to tell me what they have in terms of cash, accounts, and all this. And this is very, very useful information to find out the health of the company, because you know the products it's selling, but we have to also know that they can finance themselves. So immediately we can see something like 8 billion in cash and something like this. And then for like liabilities, we can see what their accounts payable is, and if they have any current debt. Then we'll also look into these into this. Like, so current portion of debt and finance leases is around there. And yeah, like that gives us an idea of the health of the balance sheet. And then we can also look into the revenues. So again, this is just more of a quarterly and semi-annually kind of information. But we can kind of see for the data, right? So for 2020, for the quarter ending June the 30th, they made 104 million in profit. So that kind of makes, we can look at this and interpret it as being a very healthy situation, especially since the prior year they were losing $408 million. And from that, we kind of feel like, okay, the health of this company looks to be in fairly good hands. So firstly, if we're happy with that, then we can continue to move on. And then we can go back to this page here, and then apart from this quarterly disclosures, we can also see events that they had. So they recently had a battery day where they disclose a lot of information about the future of the company, and basically that kind of summed up the next 2 to 3 years of this company. So this is actually more useful information sometimes about the future than, say, like the financial information that was released, because that financial information is about the present and the past. Whereas if you want to know the future of this company, presentations like, say, like the battery day, where they tell you how they're going to improve the efficiency of the vehicles, how they're going to make a $25,000 vehicle, that's going to tell you the bigger step forward of this company, how it's going to be worth more in the future. And that's the ultimate goal, right? You want to buy into a company that's worth more in the future than it is in the present. And also we've got other events, which is like the 5-for-1 stock split. If you don't know about it, that's when Tesla split one of these stocks into 5. It went from a stock that was over $2,000 to $400, and then the value is still the same, but it just creates a much cheaper stock for people to buy. Yeah, and then say we can also look at 2019, where we've got the same stuff. We've got Autonomy Day presentation, and they also have product reveals. So this is a very, very good summary by the company, just to put out everything in such a easy way to view that you can actually see what's available. So we've got shareholder meeting reports and impact reports if you're particularly concerned about Tesla's impact on the environment. And then we have investor events where it shows you big leaps for this company going forward. Usually they have one. It looks like they didn't really have one in 2018, but 2019, 2020, you would have gotten a great idea from these presentations of what the future of the company would be. And also they have product reveals where we have a 35K Model 3, the solar roof, and those were the products that led the way this year and will be leading the way forward on many years to come, right? So that's kind of the information you want to look at when it comes to this company. You want to look at the financials, you want to look at the products, and you want to look at what the CEO or the management of this company wants to do in the future. And then if you didn't want to go to the investor relations page on the website, you can also go to the SEC, which is sec.gov, and you can click company filings, and then for the company lookup, you can type in say something like Tesla. Sometimes I don't find this as straightforward because I type in Tesla and it gives me all these searches, but very quickly I can narrow it down and then just look for Tesla itself. So there's Tesla Auto Lease, Tesla Group Holding, Tesla Life Sciences. There's quite a lot, but I can very quickly see that there's only one company that's got that Tesla filing, so I'm clicking onto this one. But also, again, we've got this all these kind of links and descriptions that, if you're new to this, it's going to look very messy and kind of just look very dull and uncomfortable. Particularly, we see these filings that just look like it's not really as straightforward in a way, but in a sense you will adjust to it in time, of course. So we've got a description of change in beneficial ownership of securities, and we can see that there's quite a few of these. So usually, unless you want to find out what the change in ownership was, then you can click on it, or you don't have to click on it. And then we can see like there's 8Ks, which tend to let you know what material information has been released, and we've got filing dates or when these came on. So say like something that we just looked at before was a 10Q, which was the quarterly data. Then we can click onto this and it would give us what we were just looking at before. And then yeah, like it's the same stuff, right? Because Tesla was very good with the website and it included a link to this type of information. And it's pretty good. Or you can also filter it down. So if I filter it down by filing type, so don't make the mistake I've made where I literally write in 10K and it comes off nothing. You actually have to write 10 of that slash and then the K, and then it's able to recognize it. If you just write 10K, it's going to come up with no results. So very quickly I get the 10K, which will be the annual reports, and annual reports are extremely useful for summarizing the whole year for this company. So if we look at data like here from 2017 to 2018, and we want to find why did revenue of this company jump so quick, then we might want to review annual reports to find out this information. And likely the case, we find out there's been new product releases, and then that quickly gives us a good clear idea of what's happening with this company. And then from there we can also look at other information like a 10Q, which would be the quarterly data. And yeah, like again, this is not difficult to find. You just have to go to the sec.gov and then type in the name of the company, and you can find these releases. Or you can just do the investor relations page on Google, and that's just as useful. And then next, after we summarize the data of this company, we might want to look into reports like what the EV market is like in the future. So McKinsey does this report, and it kind of gives us an idea of how fast it's growing. It looks like it's been slowing down recently, so we might feel a bit worried when we look at reports like this where the EV market is in terms of sales has been slowing. But we can also look at the other data and go, who are the biggest EV producers in the world? And China is by far the leader, followed by Europe and then the States. And then you can see the rest of the world isn't doing as much as these large, kind of more like if we look into the sense of China's does about half of it, and then basically Europe and the States does the other larger chunk of it. And then we can kind of get some good idea, but I wouldn't try to focus too heavily on this data. Like I think it gives you an idea of trends, but the best trend is looking at the company data itself and going, hey, for a company like Tesla, is it producing more cars per year? And we're looking at this company and we're feeling very confident that basically it is producing more cars per year. And if you pay attention to what the CEO says, that they produce there's not enough cars that they produce to meet demand. So I think that's a very good problem to have. And from there we know basically they are being constrained into production, hence they are constrained in their sales. But if we do more research, we'll very quickly find that they have a Shanghai factory that's just being built, and then they've got one coming in Germany, and then now they've got another one coming in Texas. So that's extremely good when we know this information, because looking at these financials, it isn't going to tell us everything about the future of this company. Of course, it's going to take time. Be prepared to spend time researching into these companies. You might actually find after a while it's actually a very enjoyable process, and it just helps you relate to this company a lot more. And if the share price falls, you know exactly if this company is in a good or bad situation if a certain headline comes out. So again, we look at these reports and we'll take them with a grain of salt. We can also look at a much broader figure of like cars sold annually, and then if I click on this global statistics link, very quickly I look at the amount of cars being sold around the world. We can see China as being a very large market. If the amount of cars around the world is sold, is around the mid 60 millions, and in China it's about just above the 20 million amount of cars sold in the world. China has 1/3 of the car sales in the world. So if you're a car company, you're likely wanting to be in this car market because it's going to be extremely lucrative. And then afterwards it's followed by the US, who does probably around 16 to 17 million cars a year. So immediately, if you find the company does extremely well in the US and in China, you likely have a very successful company, especially in selling cars, right? And then after that, we've got Europe. So Europe is also very decent in size when you compare with the US. And then afterwards, other markets are getting smaller. So we do have Japan, which is about 4 million cars. But of course, you can clearly see US and China and Europe. Those three areas just have much larger car sales than the other parts of the world. So if you're a Tesla, you're focusing on the US, China, and in Europe, right? And then afterwards. Alright, so as we were looking, so we can also research the world's largest vehicle producers, and here we can quickly see Google, gives us wiki links. So Wikipedia, again, is one of those really useful websites that can sum up very large amounts of information in such a simple way that I think it's very useful for someone like us. So I've already clicked on this link and I've got the tab open. And quickly I can see, they kind of rank the vehicle producers from 1 to 20 in the world, and we can see Toyota is one of the larger producers at 10 million, same with Volkswagen, also at 10 million, and then we've got Hyundai around 7 million, also GM close to that 7 million mark, but if we count their partnerships in China, 9 million, and then we also look at Ford at about 6 million, Nissan, then Honda, and then, you get the picture, these are Tesla's major competitors, and then we can research a company like Toyota and then see what their kind of work in the EV space is right now. Currently they are still very focused on the hybrid type of situation, which they do really well at. So I think Toyota is still a big competitor, but probably not in the pure EV space, though I think it will be heading into that area very soon, and it will be offering pure electric vehicles that will be competing with Tesla. So we probably want to keep watch on Toyota, who has been extremely reliable when it comes to producing good vehicles. And in Volkswagen, they're only just starting the EV part, so we can kind of see like what's happening with them, and we can engage. Are these kind of companies going to be a big threat to Tesla, and is Tesla staying ahead of the curve? Currently it is. And then we can also get into a perspective of, like, say Tesla has a goal of producing 10 million cars a year. If they want to produce 10 million cars a year, is that possible? And given the current largest companies in the world that produce cars are Toyota and Volkswagen, and they produce 10 million, then it is very realistic that Tesla can produce 10 million cars. Whether they can, it's a big question, right? But they currently got their facilities being built in Shanghai, Berlin, and in Texas, and perhaps that's going to give us a very good idea going forward, because like if we research those factories and then we research how much capacity those factories can build, then we understand what the next 2-3 years of production are going to look like in the future. And then it gives us an idea, and that's the whole aim of researching statistics like this. And afterwards we can research into like Tesla news that's currently happening. So sometimes like you're not going to be able to stay up to date with the company all the time, so doing a quick search on Google just immediately saves you so much time and gives you what the latest parts about these companies are. Especially if they're a large company, there's going to be a lot of news on them. So Tesla, we see this article 2 hours ago. Tesla's 7-day return policy has been quietly removed. So again, interpret this how you like, but it might not be something that customers like, and it could diminish the demand potentially. So we've got to see what the case was. And then we've got another article. Tesla cancels its ballsy no questions asked 7-day return policy. So we can see this getting some exposure. And also Tesla quietly updates Model 3 range, performance and styling. And yeah, like we're getting some very, very good parts of information on what's happening with this company. And also Tesla cuts price of the Model S to $69,420. And here's an article that tells you it's based on 2 different jokes. And yeah, like again, this only took me a few minutes to just type into Google, go through those headlines, and then all of a sudden I feel a bit more up to date. I would have to read these articles, which might take another 20 minutes or so, but it means you're very up to date with this company, having done all the financial research and looking into their products and in how their productions are going into the world market. And then now it just takes that little bit more time every so often just to keep up with what's the company at in this current situation. So for me, that's my process that I like to go through, and it's always been extremely useful for me understanding everything about this company. And I think what you need to, of course, you might also want to research into the management of this company. So you would probably research Elon Musk, since he's the CEO and a guy who has the more influence in this company in terms of what products go produced in the future, and given he's also the CEO, he likely has a very strong influence on the direction of this company and the management of it. And so far he's done an extremely good job, and I don't see why he wouldn't continue to do a pretty good job, right? So, but of course there's going to be less well-known CEOs who you might look at and wonder, are they going to be good CEOs? And we'll just have to look at their past track record, and that kind of gives you a better idea. So to kind of like summarize what we've been through, so firstly we'd go to Yahoo, you'd look up what the value of this company was, and would go, is this company worth $400 billion? And then would look at the revenue and go, okay, their current revenue for 2019 was $24 billion, and in this year what's it going to be? And then from there, likely the market is kind of doing a 10x on sales, so the market probably expects maybe somewhere in the line of close to 35 to 40 billion in revenue, and then hence why we're getting this figure here. So very quickly we can interpret something from the revenue data, and also as we mentioned much earlier about the products and how they can kind of make the revenue just suddenly jump. And also we can go to the product page to get an idea what their products are and how they sell them. We can get an idea of how well they're scaling in terms of production, and then we can look at their main investor relation website to find out what the latest data is, or past data that's been released by the company, and then we can just research that. And then we can go to a company like Edgar or the SEC, same website, right? And then we can look at the information that way. I find your investor relation page so much more simpler, but you can also use Edgar as well, because these are official filings, so you're getting the best stuff, the most accurate stuff. Also you can look up Google and just search out really simple questions like how big is the EV market, how many cars are sold annually, and also who are the larger vehicle producers in the world. And also you can look at news articles of the company in the recent times, and then that's just going to be very comprehensive. It's going to update you on everything about this company, and it's going to put you in the best situation to know, is this a good price to be buying this stock at? and from there you can make your own judgment, and I think that's a much better situation to be in. Definitely thank you for being, tuning for so long. If you've managed to just stay this long, you've got incredible patience, and I definitely say incredible enthusiasm when it comes to investing in stocks, and I really wish you well. I definitely recommend each time you look into a stock that you're wanting to buy quite a lot of it in, that you go right through all these steps. It could be draining after a while. Like if you spend say like a few hours on one stock and you do it with 10, that is going to be a lot of time that you're going to have to look into stocks. But I find this approach much more useful, particularly if I'm wanting to invest a large percentage of my portfolio into this company. It gives me a great degree of control, particularly having the knowledge of this company, and also the valuation. Having all this information lets you know how you might try to value this company, what it might be worth in the future, and it's just going to put you in a better spot than as if you were not to know any of this information and you were just to look at the stock as a ticker symbol, as a share price, and just hope it does well. Like, hope is, at the end of the day, is not a strategy, and you're very much better off just looking into these companies, and I certainly hope you do that. If you have any questions, just post below. Until then, thank you for the support over this time. It's great to be, just being able to do these videos, and then also I enjoy the requests because it gives me ideas as well, and it also makes me be able to tailor content towards you. So if you have any other requests like these videos, if you like me to go through like financials and whatnot, or anything you don't understand in this investing process, then definitely let me know. I'm happy to make something like this again. Until then, good luck investing, everyone.